have joining me the eldest son of the late MKO Abiola, presumed winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, who recently joined the People's Redemption Party, PRP. Kola's father, MKO Abiola, ran for president in 1993 on the ticket of the defunct Social Democratic Party, SDP, one of the two parties decreed into existence by the military administration of President Babangida. He joins me from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Kola Abiola, for joining us tonight. First and foremost, one would imagine that it's almost 30 years that your father won the election, 1993. And it sounds, I don't know, for those who experienced that moment in history, was that what inspired you? What exactly inspired you to wanting to become Nigeria's president?
Thank you so much for having me. And Baraka Adeshara to Elijah in the studio. I won't see him in a long while. My best regards to him. It all started number one, I am just a card-carrying member of PDP. I'm not a candidate, as opposed to what you refer me to. I picked up a card, my first political party membership ever, not even under SDP back then, a week ago Thursday. And I am fully fledged party member of PRP, and that's what I am for now. As to why I got back into politics after so long and my absence, it's because, you see, I fought so hard to bring a conclusion to the 1993 elections. I started with the late President Umaru Yar'Adua, continued with President Jonathan, and eventually concluded it with the present President Buhari to give my late father, Basharo MKO Abiola, the recognition he deserves for winning the 1993 June 12th election. That was done. He was given the GCFR, which is the highest title you could give a Nigerian, and it's only preserved for presidents. And that put closure to my sojourn in 1993. A year or two after that, it dawned on me that now that we have June 12th as the official swearing-in date, next year, June 12, 2023, will be exactly 30 years of our election. At that point, it occurred to me that I need to make a difference. I need to change and hopefully get back what we achieved in 1993, which was the perfect election, the one election that's ever held correctly across Nigeria, and see how close and how I can influence a change in that direction again. And that's, I looked around, I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of the youth, the 18 to 36 age demographic group all over Nigeria, and I decided, look, they have the ace to make a difference, to bring my experience over the years politically to play and show them how to have an end game, not just protest, but take that protest and vote and create change. And that's why I'm here today. I've looked at all the political parties out there, and I figured the best way to do that would be PRP. And that's because they have a pedigree. It's the oldest party in Nigeria to date. It's been consistent in its ideology, but more importantly, it's a place where anybody can freely come into, and they believe in people power, politics for the people, electoral office for the people, and change to be brought by the people. And I can't find a better avenue of doing that but PRP, and that's why I'm back here today.
Yeah, so I was going to ask my next question, your choice of PRP, but you've simply answered that, because one we wonder that why not the SDP, where your party, the platform your father used several years ago, over 30 years ago, to win that election, because for a lot of people who have followed the politics of Nigeria since that time, we naturally may be able to remember our key into that agenda. Why not SDP as against the PRP?
Thank you. One of the cardinal points I bring to the table is I want to positively disrupt the political space. And by doing that, I want to lower the barriers to entry as much as possible. The godfatherism, the use of the role money plays, and the role big names play in politics. Now, one thing I learned back in my days with SDP, the old SDP, and the PF group, led by the late General Shehu Yaradua. It's not about the names you hear. It's about the people that can deliver in their constituencies. There were so many people in that group those days that didn't have the name, didn't have the newspaper names, but actually held a lot of weight in their communities. And going back to that theory, I didn't see the SDP of today doing the same. It's still the same old names come together under that umbrella and still playing politics as they know how. I am looking at a system that allows us to really disrupt and change the mindset. They still run, and that just not applies to them, it applies to all the parties. There's still this mindset of this is how we do it. And with what I'm trying to achieve, that mindset has to change. And for the youth we're appealing to, I must give them the option to free fall into it and actually go and find their feet. And nothing would encumber that. And I don't see the President SDP doing that. I see it as like the last outing, for example, we had names from the from way back in the IBB era trying to run for office. What are they going to bring that is new to this set of our kids or the youth of today? And it's still a lot of names and names and names that I'm not sure that can even deliver what these kids expect or what the youth expects. And that's why I'm not there.
Let me jump in quickly, and I'd like to ask you. Your father came with a very strong pedigree, and several years after his death, it still commands a lot of respect from a lot of Nigerians. Are you hoping that you might be able to ride on that? Is it helpful in any way for you?
You see, the election was 30 years ago. I approach the youth of today like they didn't know of an Abiola. That's the truth. I've always been an equal opportunity person. So I have to approach them that they don't even know that that name exists. My pedigree, my transparency, my commitment to Nigeria, and whatever morality and ethics I bring to the table is what I think would help. And then the pedigree from the MKO would follow subsequently. But I don't go there first to approach them as such. If that's the case, you won't have riots at Unilag when the Jonathan administration renamed Unilag, for example, after my late dad. So I'm not approaching this youth as if they know. This was 30 years ago. Many were not even born then, and the few that were born were too young to even know what was going on. Many of them, one thing I even found out, many of them, all they probably remember is the jingles from that day. MKO, he's a man. Oh. That's probably what they recall in many ways. But there's a lot to the man than the jingles itself. He represented quite a bit. So I'm not approaching that at all. I'm not even assuming they would even. I have to come through the door.
Yeah.
As me first.
So, I mean, I like to jump in because when you, one of the issues I like to take you up on is your own ideas, your own genuine and ideas of wanting to change things. You say you want to disrupt things. But two quick questions that I'd like to ask you before we get into that is how active were you when your father was running for president? Did you partake in any way in helping him at a time?
I dealt with that a lot in the past. I still dealt with that last Friday on Arise. So, and if you go back to a lot of my interviews, I think that has been dealt with. So I don't want to rehash that. We don't have enough time to start going through that. But anybody who is a player, anyone who is a player today, politically, back then, in no doubt will testify to the role I played. That's all I can tell you for now. But I've dealt with that I mean, exhaustively, you know, in prior interviews. So I want to move on from that. Going back to your earlier question, it's not about that now. It's about where we are now, where we move forward, and what impact I will make. I've made my impact, and I've learned from that, and I want to bring that to book. I want to help bridge that gap from protesting and being aggrieved to helping you, show you the way to the end game, and which is making sure that your votes count, not just your voice. Don't that answers your question?
Again, it does look like the Abiolas are now this season very active. Rinsola, I know, is a very strong member of the APC, wanted to be the youth leader of the APC. Your sister Hafsat Costello is the Director General of the Yaya Bello campaign organization, and that organization is using a Hope 93 mantra, which was used many years ago with the MKO Abiola campaign. How does that come to you, though?
See, I have an older sister who was in the House of Reps earlier on. I have another sister who is an active member in APC today. So Hafsat going into being a campaign manager, that's we're politically active, I guess. But we all won't sleep with our heads facing the same direction, so to speak. So I have no problems with that. If they're going back to Hope, which is 30 years ago, it only goes to show that something was done right by me 30 years ago, or 29 years ago. So I'm not, it's just another accolade for me, actually. That's all I can say. But I'm not even approaching that. What Nigeria needs today to go forward is first and foremost a unifier. Somebody who the electorate, the youth, see as a true Nigerian, first and foremost. And that would, Nigeria in turn gives hope that the future can be better than the past. It's not too late to hold them by the hands and say, look, we haven't failed you as such, but we can make it up by you collectively coming together with the little guardians to making sure that your votes make the difference going forward. You are 50% of the population to date. 0 to 40 is 80% of the population. 40 and above is only 20% of the population today. So that 20% on its own cannot make an impact. But if this group comes together and exercise the right to vote, not just vote, but also get involved, get into elected offices, get into, not just participate, monitor, you will see that policies for them will come because the politician will be, and the leadership will be held accountable. That's my own drive. And that is, if you call that, I don't know if they choose to go back to, it's not just, not even if I'm right, it's not even just Abiola's campaign using the hope thing. There's so many people are using the hope thing. So good luck to them doing that if they want to ride on that. But I accept the fact that the MKO name is a brand, and it's helped as many people as possible today. They're still exploiting that till tomorrow, and fine. But like I said, the good kid has a lot of fathers, so that's okay with me. But I am a custodian just of the family.
Get your understanding of the nation's problem, because I always ask this question, and that is, if there is one major or perhaps the biggest problem of Nigeria, in your own view, what would that be?
Period. It all begins and ends with leadership. Leadership that is held accountable, that listens, and governs based on policies that help the country. Now, because of the way the system is today, the leadership is not accountable to the voter because they don't need the voters to get elected. And they don't care what we think, basically. And it begins and ends with good leadership. Everything was good, it begins and ends with that. Foresight, policy, not that you get to government and start looking for your 6-point, 7-point agenda. You must know what you want to do before you get there. You must know what right buttons to check. You must have a priority of things to be done. You won't achieve it all, but you must know what priorities you have that will be a catalyst for other things to change. So it begins and starts with that. The experience, the exposure. Like somebody says, politics is too important to be left to politicians. So it's something that needs a new set of people who can come in as outsiders to change the trajectory of events in Nigeria.
In your own view, how do you hope to immediately, should you get a job of Nigeria's president, how do you hope to immediately tackle the issue of poverty, the issue of unemployment, the issue of security? What would be your major and immediate priority?
That, for me, is you're putting the cat before the horse now. I'd have to be a candidate first. I'd have to do the usual things that are required by the party, pick up the nomination, declare and all that. But that aside, everything, it's sort of like everything is about psychology here. The people have to believe they're electing their own. And that's where I go back to the youth again. The minute they feel they are electing their own and have ownership of the process, right? A lot of the problems begin to solve. They have faith in the leadership they have. And if you have that, and that's another reason why they have to all go out and get their PVCs and vote and give you the mandate that is needed. That mandate begins to change and have a leader begin to address some very hard things, implement some very hard policies going forward that requires a mandate of his electorate. Not one that is elected with 26% of the electorate. You need a clear-cut mandate at this point in time in Nigeria and where Nigeria finds itself today to properly go out and make some very, very, very tough decisions. These are decisions that, as a candidate, you will have to approach and let your electorate know what things they're going to do, but they have to own that process. And with that, you'll be able to address the larger questions. And then you can tell them what you're going to do, whether they're mainstream or not mainstream, but Nigeria needs non-mainstream ideas to change it around. And that you have to have the backing of your electorate to do those things. If you don't have proper progressives in all tiers of governance, the president cannot on his own change things. You have to have that change and you have to get that mandate, and then you'll see what's going to happen subsequently.
On the final note, as we wrap up, we just have about 30 seconds for your response. There are those who are of the opinion, thinking, they were imagining when they heard your name, first and foremost, when you came back into politics, they thought that you were actually going to go to Ogun State to run for governor. Are their hopes dashed? Have you ever thought about running for governor in your own Ogun State? I've never thought about running for governor.
I've never thought about running for governor. What I've always done, and that's the beauty of PRP, you can register online from anywhere in the world to be a member of the party. You don't have to go back to the state. But I've never looked at running for governor of Ogun State. I still never would. I think my role is to make difference across the board and length and breadth of Nigeria. What I'd want to do is appeal to my youth, to my children, their age groups, all over the world, to come out. Please get that BBC vote. Your influencers, your role models in the sports, music, film, production, come out, please encourage them to get these PVCs. If you see my son stand amongst his friends with their funny hairstyles, come out, or my nephew, Zaid, for that matter, you can't tell who is who, but they have a common thing going for them. If David O and Flavor come together, it's a talent that brings them together, not where they come from or who knows who. We need to get Nigeria to that point, that they are blind to these differences, and then collectively come and make it a difference. group of people, this demographic group, will give us that, and we'll be a better country for sure.
All right. Mr. Kola Abiola, the first son of MKO Abiola, who is running to get a ticket of the PRP, the presidential ticket of the PRP. And I wish you the very best in your pursuit of that. Thank you so much indeed for talking
do that
to us
eventually,
tonight.
we'll have a proper discussion. When I do that, if I do, we'll have a proper discussion then. Okay.
Sure. We'll get you back into the studio. Thank you so much for coming tonight. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Okimale. Bye for now.